Hello, my name is Dr. K.P. Asha Mukundan and I am a faculty working with Tata Institute of Social Sciences, School of Social Work, the Center for Criminology and Justice. Today I am going to talk about the module on role of stakeholders in the juvenile justice system. This is a part of the subject of criminology under the paper of juvenile justice. The main objective of this topic or this module is to first understand who are the various stakeholders who are involved in working with the juvenile justice system. The list may not be exhaustive, but we have tried to cover as many as we could. The other objective is to understand what are the roles that the various stakeholders can play within the JJ system, and the last is to understand and appreciate the various roles that are played by the stakeholders. So, let us begin with the module and say who are the various stakeholders involved. The juvenile justice system is an exclusive system for rehabilitation and reformation of children in conflict with law, as well as children in need of care and protection, who are better known as CNCPs. In India, approximately 42% of population is under 18 years of age, and maximum of them are vulnerable and getting victimized by social circumstances. To protect rights of vulnerable children, we have comprehensive juvenile justice system in India. The juvenile justice system is based on the principle of promoting, protect and safeguarding the rights of children. Recognizing the vulnerability of children and need for special and differential treatment, the establishment of juvenile justice system started from the enactment of the Juvenile Justice Act 1986. Then it got amended in 2000, 2006, and now we have the JJ Act of 2015, which repealed the existing acts. This act has incorporated the UN minimum rules for administration of juvenile justice, the United Nations rules for the protection of children, of protection of juveniles deprived of their liberty, the Hague Convention on Protection of Children and Cooperation in respect of intercountry adoption, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, and the Constitution of India. The preamble of the Act stated in the Act will ensure the implementation of provision and duties under clause 3 of the Article 15, clause C and F of Article 39, Article 45, and duties that all needs of the children are met and their basic human rights are fully protected. This is a social legal legislation, and that is why the implementation of the Act also is different from the other legislations. Hence, the objective shifted from penology to reformation and rehabilitation. To achieve this objective as stated under the JJ Act, it is difficult to achieve this without the help of the judiciary. There are different stakeholders, and these stakeholders in the JJ system play a very important role with respect to children in conflict with law, as well as the child in need of child in conflict with law and child in need of care and protection for their ultimate rehabilitation. Let us look at the principle of the Juvenile Justice Act of 2015. The principal objectives of the Juvenile Justice Act to cater to children's basic needs through proper care, protection, development, treatment and social reintegration, and also to adopt child friendly approach in the adjunction and disposal of matters in the best interest of the children, with the aim of ultimate rehabilitation of the child and reintegrating them back into society. The Act makes juvenile justice system distinct from the adult criminal justice system. The entire mechanism governing the juvenile justice system emphasizes on rehabilitation and social reintegration rather than punishment. The focus of the Act, of the JJ Act, is on the vulnerability of the children. This Act shall apply to all matters concerning children in need of care and protection and the children in conflict with law, including in matters related to apprehension, detention, prosecution, penalty or imprisonment, rehabilitation and social reintegration of children in conflict with law. It is also applicable for procedures and decisions or orders related to rehabilitation, adoption, reintegration and restoration of children in need of care and protection. This Act also talks about the two basic concepts, that is, to consider the best interest of the child and second, child friendly procedures in implementation of the Act, and itself defines these concepts as below. It defines best interest of the child as the basis for any decision taken regarding the child to ensure fulfillment of his basic rights and needs, identity, social well-being and physical, emotional and intellectual development. The term child friendly is defined as any behavior, conduct, practice, process, attitude, environment or treatment that is humane, considerate and in the best interest of the child. The stakeholders, let us look at the stakeholders who are specified under the Juvenile Justice Act. The Juvenile Justice Act or the JJ Act is a socio-legal legislation. Hence, its objectives and way of implementation is different from the other legislation. Therefore, the entire juvenile justice system works with an interdisciplinary approach to collaborate with all stakeholders. Let us look at the figure 2.1 which is right now on your screen. The figure on your screen depicts the key stakeholders in the JJ system. This list is not exhaustive. The number of stakeholders is ever expanding given the individual needs of children. Without coordination and participation of the functionaries on the screen, it is not possible to achieve the principal aim of the juvenile justice system. The Juvenile Justice Board and the Child Welfare Committee independently cannot work on the agenda of rehabilitation without these stakeholders. Let us look at the role and functions of the Juvenile Justice Board. The Juvenile Justice Board is a key stakeholder in the juvenile justice system. The JJB consists of the judicial magistrate of first class or metropolitan magistrate known as the principal magistrate on the JJB and two social workers having experience and actively involved in the field of health, education or welfare activities pertaining to children for the last 7 years, or a practicing professional with a degree in child psychology, psychiatry, sociology or law. JJB is supposed to be a competent authority in relation to children in conflict with law. The Act has given equal importance to the magistrate and the social workers who are jointly constituted as a competent authority to deal with cases related to children in conflict with law. The role, and let us look at some of the roles and responsibilities of the JJB. 1. The primary responsibility of JJB is to cater to the developmental needs, care, protection and treatment, case procedure, inquiry and final order for ultimate rehabilitation of the children in conflict with law within the concept of best interest of the child. The role of JJB in the JJ system is to ensure, 1. To ensure that the environment and functioning of the board is in a child friendly manner and not as a regular court. 2. To ensure the participation of children in conflict with law and parent at every step of process. 3. Protection of individual and legal rights of the accused and victim. 4. Ensure availability of legal aid for the child through Legal Services Authority. 5. Obtain the social investigation report and individual care plan of child by taking assistance of the probation officer or social workers of NGO or NGOs. 6. Pay visits to child care institutions for CCLs and recommend the improvement needed in services. Also to network with DCPU or state government. 7. Pay visit to jails to check if any child lodged in such jail and take immediate measures for transfer of such children in observation home. Next, inquiry of child about ill treatment by police, lawyers, probation officer inside the institution and outside the institution. 9. Take cognizance of crime against children and direct police for necessary action. 10. Contact and build networks with other stakeholders of the JJ system, including areas of vocational training, institutions, psychiatrists or psychologists, counselors, NGOs, etc. 11. Pass appropriate final orders and dispose cases of children in conflict with law by deciding best suitable options for their rehabilitation and reintegration into society. Now let us look at some of the roles and functions of the Child Welfare Committee. The CWC is constituted under section 27(1) of the JJ Act of 2015 for working with cases related to children in need of care and protection. It is for the treatment, development and rehabilitation of children in need of care and protection, better known as CNCP. The Child Welfare Committee, also referred to as committee, consists of a chairperson and 4 other members, of whom at least one has to be a woman. The committee has to function as a bench of magistrates, and even the social workers appointed on the board are designated with the power of the judicial magistrate of first class or metropolitan magistrate. Now let us look at the role and responsibilities of the Child Welfare Committee or the CWC. They have to function the role of conducting inquiries on all issues related to and affecting the children who are in need of care and protection, and try and give a logical plan for children within 4 months. This logical plan is something that one calls the child care plan. Their also role is to take suo motu cognizance of children who are in difficult situations and order for their rescue. They are supposed to take appropriate decisions regarding the rehabilitation of child, giving due consideration to their social investigation report that is going to be submitted either by the probation officer or social workers. They are also supposed to be looking at the care plans, interacting with children, etc. They are required to visit child care institutions to check its functioning, services provided, look at the health status of children residing there, the activities that they are engaged in, and the activities which are essential for their development, and suggest or recommend areas for overall improvement. They are required to obtain social investigation reports from the probation officer or the member of DCPU or social workers from NGOs, and prepare a very comprehensive child care plan for children's rehabilitation. Another important role that the CWC is supposed to play is to declare a person or an institution as a fit person or fit facility. They are also authorized to declare children legally free for adoption after due process. They are supposed to be coordinating with various government departments like the Home Department, which is in charge of the police, the Women and Child Department, the Labor Department, the Education Department, the Social Welfare Department and such other related departments for the convergence of rehabilitative services. One of the other important roles is to decide on appropriate institutional services for children, give directions to persons or institutions or facilities to arrange immediate shelter, medical help, psychiatric and psychosocial support or assistance, provide children with occupational therapy, behavior modification therapy, skill training, legal aid, education, developmental activities that are relevant for children. The next important stakeholder is the Children's Court. The Juvenile Justice Act 2015 provides for differential punishment to children in conflict with law between the age group of 16 to 18 and who have alleged to have committed a heinous offences which have punishment for 7 years and above. The JJB, after doing a preliminary assessment and in its own discretion decides if the case needs to be heard in the Juvenile Justice Board or should be transferred to the Children's Court. The Children's Court is established under the Commission of Protection of Child Rights Act 2005 or the Special Court established under the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012 or the court or sessions where above special courts are not established. Let us look at the role and responsibilities of the Children's Court. One of the roles and responsibilities involve to conduct trial of the CCL as an adult as per provision of CRPC 1973, considering the special needs of the child and tenets of fair trial and maintaining a child-friendly atmosphere. It is also supposed to ensure that the final order of the CCL shall include the individual care plan for rehabilitation, including follow-up by the probation officer, district child protection unit or the social worker. The Children's Court can send children to a place of safety with providing education, skill development, alternative therapy, psychiatric support till he attains the age of 21 years. Thereafter, they can be transferred to a jail after due process. Ensure that there is a periodic follow-up by the PO, DCPU, social worker and its report to evaluate the progress of CCL to a place of safety and ensure that there is no ill treatment of the CCL. The other role of the Children's Court is when the child in conflict with law will attain the age of 21 and is yet to complete the term of stay, the Children's Court shall provide for a follow-up by the probation officer or the district child protection unit, that is the DCPU, or a social worker or by itself as required to evaluate if such a child has undergone reformative changes and if the child can be a contributing member of the society and for the purpose of progress records of the child under subsection 4 of section 19 along with evaluation of relevant experts are to be taken into consideration, post which the court can decide if 1. It can decide if it wants to release the child on such condition as it deems fit, which includes appointment of a monitoring authority for the remainder of the period prescribed term of stay. 2. Decide that the child shall complete the remainder of this term in a jail. We shall now look into the next stakeholder, who is the Special Juvenile Police Unit. The Special Juvenile Police Unit is also known as the SJPU. It is a unit of police officers who is expected as per the law to exclusively deal with cases of children in conflict with law and children in need of care and protection. It's a team that is set up who is supposed to be trained by the state to work with children. They are to be set up in every district and be headed by a police officer not below the rank of a deputy superintendent of police or above and considering and consisting of police officers not below the rank of assistant sub-inspector. They are supposed to have aptitude, appropriate training and orientation and they are supposed to be known as the Child Welfare Police Officers or the CWPO. The JJ Act also contemplates the constitution of SJPU to comprise of 2 social workers having experience of working in the field of child protection. The SJPU or the Special Juvenile Police Unit also is supposed to be supposed to include the railway police who are dealing with children. Let's look at the role of the SJPU or the Child Welfare Police Officer. The Child Welfare Police Officer under the SJPU is the first person in the JJ system with whom the child comes in contact with. The CWPO plays crucial role for children in difficult situation. The role of the police in the JJS for children in conflict with law and the children in need of care and protection are as follows. 1. When it comes to children in conflict with law, the role is that if the child is apprehended, be placed under the charge of SJPU or the CWPO and produced before the JJB within 24 hours. 2. If the CNCP is rescued or found, then to be produced before the CWC within 24 hours. The SJPU or the CWPO deal with them in a child-friendly manner to make them feel secure. They are supposed to inform them of the further processes. The SJPU or CWPO must inform the parents or guardians of the child, the probation officer or social worker of any apprehension. SJPU has to ensure that the child is not kept in a police lockup or a jail or handcuffed or tied with any material. They are supposed to conduct investigation and file an inquiry report or the final report before the board. This report is better known as charge sheet in the adult criminal justice system. They are also supposed to provide escort to CNCP and CCLs for the purpose of transfer or any other purpose mentioned by the competent authority. The SJPU or the CWPO need to keep details of the JJB and the CWC, NGOs or child protection organizations and their representatives who are the child-friendly persons working with children. They are supposed to escort children for tracing and also for repatriation. Or the next important stakeholder in the juvenile justice system is the probation system. Let's look at the roles and responsibilities of the probation officer in the juvenile justice system. It begins at the time the CCL gets apprehended and continues till post the final order is passed by the JJB for the rehabilitation and social reintegration. The PO or the probation officer is supposed to be the friend, philosopher and guide of the child in conflict with law as well as a child in need of care and protection. The probation officer is defined as an officer appointed by the state government as a probation officer under the Probation of Offenders Act 2058 or the legal cum probation officer appointed by the state government under the district child protection unit. As mentioned earlier, the Juvenile Justice Act is a socio-legal act. Probation is a rehabilitative order developed as a non-custodial alternative. It can be passed by a judicial magistrate first class or JMFC better known as, and can be passed only with respect to a child in conflict with law. However, the duties of the probation officer is also extended to a child in need of care and protection or CNCP. Let us look at some of the role of the probation officer. After being informed by the police about the apprehension of the child, the probation officer or the PO is expected to begin the process of preparing the social investigation report or the SIR, which provides information regarding the family, background of the child and other social information. They are supposed to assess, guide and help JJB and the CWC in the process of correction and rehabilitation of the children. They are expected to supervise children and submit the report for the same as per the orders of the JJB or the CWC. The POs are the first point of contact in an institutional setting for the child. Hence, the PO has to orient the child on the case related procedures and the future course of action that may be taken by the JJB or CWC. They are supposed to be preparing the SIRs and the comprehensive individual care plan for CCL and CNCP, keeping the best interest of the child in mind. They are supposed to submit the following report and who are placed of the child who are placed in a place of safety as per the children's court. They are also expected to coordinate transfer of children to different institutions in the same district or different district, state or country. For this purpose, they have to network with the concerned agencies like JJB, POs, CWC, NGOs. The POs are supposed to be the friend and confidant of the child. This brings us to the next stakeholder, who is the Integrated Child Protection Scheme implemented by the Women and Child Development Department. This scheme is an integral part of the juvenile justice system. The Integrated Child Protection Scheme or the ICPS is a centrally sponsored scheme or program of the established for the development and protection of children in India. The main objectives of this scheme is 1. To institutionalize essential services and strengthen structures for all support services at the national, regional and state and district levels. It is also supposed to help in enhancing capacities of all levels of all functionaries and stakeholders who are working with children, including systems like the police, judiciary, local bodies, service providers, government departments to undertake responsibilities under the ICPS. They are also expected to help strengthen child protection at family and community level, create and promote preventive measures to protect children from situations of vulnerability, risk and abuse. They are expected to raise public awareness, educate public on child rights and protection, on situation and vulnerabilities of children and families, on available child protection services, schemes and structures at all levels. This scheme has been implemented through the District Child Protection Unit, also known as the DCPU, which is a fundamental unit for the implementation of the scheme in each district. Hence, there is a state mechanism and a district mechanism. The Juvenile Justice Act also assigns many important duties to the DCPU or the District Child Protection Unit to rehabilitate and reintegrate children into society. We are having an entire module to look into the working of the DCPU. So, for additional details of the role and responsibilities of DCPU, you are requested to kindly refer to the module of ICPS. The next important stakeholder that we would be talking about is the civil society's organization or the non-government organization who are those who are registered under the Societies Registration Act with the objective of social development and welfare of the communities. Civil society organizations or NGOs can play a crucial role to fulfill the overall objective of the JJ Act. Rehabilitation entails focusing on the material, social, personal needs of the juvenile or the child. The NGOs or civil societies can guide, monitor and support the children as well as work with the families to develop appropriate future goals, to increase self-confidence and guide the child or juvenile to develop into a responsible or mature adult. The NGOs and the civil society organizations can also strongly advocate for better access to educational opportunities for all children, reducing inequalities in society and overall promote the cause of child rights to prevent children from getting into situations of crime. The role of civil society organizations or NGOs in the JJS are these organizations can effectively contribute to the rehabilitation and reintegration of children. The JJ Act 2015 recognizes the importance of collaborating and networking with CSOs / NGOs and has specified formal roles. Some of the roles that can be played by the CSOs or NGOs are: 1. Function as fit person and fit facility. 2. Create awareness about the working of the system. 3. Assist JJBs or CWCs to preparing social investigation report and individual care plan of children. 4. Conduct and facilitate group sessions with children as a means to enhance self-esteem, develop personality and work towards anger management, stress management and also help in create awareness on issues related to addiction, gender discrimination, etc. They are also mandated to help find appropriate resources for rehabilitation and develop linkages on an individual needs based. They can help in conduct training programs for different stakeholders on various themes and topics related to capacity building and working with children. They can help and assist in home tracing and repatriation. The other role can be played is on counseling, run residential homes for children. They can also contribute in the process of advocacy and policy making. Summarizing this entire module, one can say there is a need to adopt a multidisciplinary approach by all stakeholders in the juvenile justice system, because the process of rehabilitation and reintegration of children into society cannot be achieved by a single organization. Coordination and collaboration are the key words while adopting this approach of multidisciplinary approach. The NGOs and the civil society organizations are an indispensable part of the JJ system and one needs to nurture the same. For information on each of the stakeholders, there are separate modules that will be touching on each of these stakeholders. So, you are requested to refer to the concerned module for additional information about the respected stakeholders. Also, we have attached a reference list for further reading. There is also enough of information and literature available on this subject online. Thank you.